You're listening to the Homeownership podcast by Momentum Realty, real estate talk for buying, selling, and owning property.
Hey guys, Sean Patrick Maloney here, broker owner of Momentum Realty, located in Hanover, Massachusetts. Welcome to episode 45, Working with a Listing Agent. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Maloney. Thanks for joining me this week. I want to talk to you about a really important subject when it comes time to sell your home, and that's working with your listing agent. A lot of times people talk about real estate agents being overpaid, and I think it's really that they're underappreciated and underutilized. The reality of a great listing agent is it doesn't matter whether they sell your home in one day or they sell your home in the perfect 47 days that you'd like to see. It matters whether they get you the terms and the money that you're looking for your home, and they make it easy for you. I'm going to teach you today how to make it easier for yourself and how to work better with them, how to get them more involved and to feel like you got more for your money, and to take advantage of the full service that a listing agent provides. Here at Momentum Realty, we provide exceptional service all the way through the transaction, and if your agent doesn't offer what I'm talking about here today, maybe you should reach out to one of our Move Mentors, which is what we call our real estate agents here, and they can help you with this process. One of the first pieces of advice I have is to start early. Lots of people call an agent when they're ready to put the sign into the ground out front. The problem is there was a lot of planning and processes that happened before you called them, and it's not really the best idea to just call them when you want the sign out front. Sometimes as a real estate agent, we walk in the door, we see something that someone just did, whether it be polishing floors, painting walls, adding additions, changing countertops, and we cringe. And the reason we cringe is we know we can only get them about 60 cents for every dollar they spent. Versus when you start early and you talk to us beforehand, you can utilize our opinion and we can help you understand where will you find value. Should you paint? Should you do renovations? Should you do additions? Should you change countertops? Should you update bathrooms? These things are very important because a lot of times people think, oh, I'm just going to do the bathroom and kitchen because those are the most popular items. But what they don't realize is bathrooms and kitchens are highly personalized items, and if not done with the right taste, you may have put the wrong thing in that's just going to get ripped out right away. Or you may narrow down the crowd that's actually interested in your property by making the wrong choices. The great part about real estate agents that are busy in the industry, we see transactions every day. We go out with clients and get to listen to the comments firsthand. People will tell us what they like, what they don't like. We're not watching the TV shows where they're internationally or nationally filmed and they're taking and crowdsourcing ideas from other parts of the country. We're boots on the ground right there with clients looking at property throughout your neighborhoods and hearing exactly what the buyer pool around you is saying, which is really important because a lot of times we forget when we're watching these national TV shows, what someone wants down in Arizona is different than what someone wants in Colorado, and what someone wants in Massachusetts may not match what someone wants in Chicago. So thinking that you're just going to watch HGTV and figure out, oh, everyone wants gray kitchens and white countertops. Well, yes, that's true of their TV show, but it may not be true of your area. So making sure you get with that agent ahead of time is a big thing. Some other things you can do during that ahead of time is the first walkthrough. Walk through and talk about staging. A lot of agents don't really understand staging, so you need to make sure that you have somebody that's been trained on it and also that's done a lot of real estate so they understand what should be done on staging. But not always do you need to hire a staging company. I do like staging companies for empty homes, and sometimes it works good. Sometimes I tell them to just leave it empty. Staging is actually relatively expensive, the rental type of staging where a staging company comes out. There is some very simple ways to stage, and there are some great resources right here locally that you can use. We have Home Goods, we have TJ Maxx, we have Kohl's, we have the Christmas Tree Shop, Ocean State Job Lot. We have a lot of discounters locally, even the places like Savers and the Salvation Army and other discounters. We have those places available, and a lot of times people already have the guts of the house. They have the couches and stuff. A lot of times the staging more comes down to removing lots of what they have and just kind of decorating the house a little more, making it more functional, maybe having nicely folded towels in the bathrooms and soap dispensers and little simple things. I'm not going to go over all the details here, but working with an agent that understands staging and understands how you could do the staging yourself can actually save you a lot of money. A lot of times you may be shocked to hear this, but staging can cost as much as 2 to 5% of the list price, which is already on top of what you're paying your agent, which is actually paying for a lot of work. The thing with staging is you're paying to rent the furniture for the time, and a lot of times they say, do you want a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, 180-day contract? Problem being is if you say, okay, I'll do a 30-day because it'll sell quick. If it doesn't sell quick, now you need to sign another 30-day. And the 30-day is cheaper than the 60-day, but the 60-day, the 30 days cost less per day to have the 60-day. So if you choose too short of a contract and you need to renew, you now need to buy the expensive days because you're buying less days because you think it's going to sell. If it doesn't sell again, then you're going to have to pay again for the staging. What this can lead to is a staged home becoming unstaged, which is basically a step backwards. So it can really hurt you. And then you really realize that if you had just spent 2 to 5% on buying things that you want for your future home and that would work for staging now, you may actually be able to buy yourself quite a bit of great stuff that could move along with you and will look good for the time being. So using your agent for that is really important. And we went over before with repairs. Repairs are something that always should be done. There are things that need to be done, but then there is also some that are more of upgrades versus repairs, and that can run you into some costs that you're not going to recover your money on. Overall, though, when you come to the word repairs, broken things mostly need to be fixed when you're exchanging hands on housing. If you're selling as is, then they can be looked at as opportunity and value in the future. But when you're selling a normal home, you're going to go through a home inspection, and if there's broken items, they're going to be uncovered. And if there's too many broken items, you may actually lose your buyer due to the fact that they get nervous about how many broken things there are. So a lot of times when you meet with agents, they're not only just advising you with what repairs to do, they usually have a pretty good contact list of different contractors that they can help you find that'll do a good job on your repairs. In the world of housing, everything's very expensive. We're usually talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions, on the sale prices, and the repairs are fairly expensive. The big thing about the repairs is you can't worry as much about the cost of the repair as much as the quality of the repair. There's lots of discounters out there running around in the housing world doing repairs for discounts, but the reality is when you go to sell, if you didn't pull a permit for something that needs a permit, or you didn't do it correctly, the home inspector's still going to see it. The inspector tells them that you did shoddy repairs, and then you need to then rip out the shoddy repairs and have it repaired, which can really lead to a lot of costs. And it can also make a person who's buying your home say, oh, I don't know about this because they're using kind of really shoddy work, and I don't want that in my house. So just keep that in mind when you're doing that. So typically we're anywhere from a year to 6 months out when we're doing this different stuff. We're getting the home ready. So then when it comes time to actually sell the home, before they gave you a rough estimate value, now it's time to do the actual CMA. So your agent's going to tell you a comparative market analysis, what your home's worth, and what you should list it at. Here's the point where you really want to use your listing agent's abilities. A lot of people think they know the price of their own home. The reality is when you look out in the backyard, you see your children on the swing set, you see that first birthday party, you see the friends that came over and watched the football game in the living room and all that. They don't. You see a home, they see a house. There's a big difference between a home and a house. A house is an empty building that is just meant to be sold, and a home is what you create after you buy that house. And when you're trying to sell a home to someone who's looking to buy a house, it never works out because they don't see the value that you see. Pricing your home properly is one of the most important parts of the listing agent. They're going to get you the right price, so that way if there are people interested, they may bid it up to a higher price, but that you're not sitting on the market and then having to take price breaks. And when you take price breaks, we all know what that means. No one ever comes in with a full price offer. The best way to get a full price offer or more is by pricing the house correctly right out the gate. All the time people want to price it and they want to run the market and list it for the most money possible, which sometimes it works out, but the majority of times it absolutely comes to a failure, and then you end up getting less money than what you thought. So after you get your CMA and you're ready to go on the market, your agent's going to list it for you. They're going to put it on the different websites such as the MLS and other syndication websites such as Zillow, Boston.com, lots of other places like that. This is the next point where you really want to work with your listing agent about the marketing of your home. Some agents are very good at marketing. Some agents have no understanding and they think putting a house up on the MLS is marketing the home. Here's a point where when you're choosing listing agents, you really want to look at, do you see that agent around town as far as when you're online? Are you seeing their ads? Are you seeing their properties pass by you? That's what you want your property to be at. Just because somebody's your friend doesn't mean that they need to sell your home. Unfortunately, a lot of people fall into that category of not wanting to be awkward and working directly with a friend or family member that's in real estate. The reality is you want to work with that person that's getting properties in front of people. You got to remember that the person represents you and you represent them. They're working for you, so when people look into your home, they're looking into your agent as well. They're not just looking into your home, but they're looking at how it's represented by the agent. So it's really important that you get somebody that's going to represent you properly. And you also have to remember that when you're hiring an agent, you're not only hiring that agent for the fact that they are good at what they do, you're also hiring them for their network. So if you're hiring an agent and they're not involved in town at all, they're not involved in the Chamber of Commerce's, they're not going to events, nobody knows who they are, you're not getting much value. This is one of the ones that's kind of funny because this is where the words overpriced come in all the time. Like people say like, oh, well, they sold it in one day. They must have underpriced the home or they're getting paid too much money. The reality is it's hard to put a tangible value on an intangible item like a network or education. If you have a highly educated person with a broad network, they're going to sell your home quickly and they're going to get you top dollar for the home and they're going to get paid in what is considered by most an inconceivable amount of money for such a short period of time. It's strange. There's not many jobs in the world that you can do and find success where people are mad at you for finding that very success. In real estate, people come in and they want us to sell their home somewhere between 15 to say as much as 50 days out so that they feel like they got their value, you did a good job, you didn't sell it in one day, so you must have gotten more money than they deserved. But they're mad at you if you sell it in less than 15 days, and they're even more mad at you if you don't sell it after 60 days. So I think the reality of that is you just got to get over it and realize you're paying for a person's education and network, and them finding success is you finding success, and working together is a really important thing. Once you have the house going, your agent's going to set up open houses. There's a point where you really want to work with your agent. It's very difficult as an agent when you show up dressed up, ready to go, ready for an open house, and you show up to a dirty house or an unshoveled driveway, or maybe the leaves need to be raked, or it's not decorated. Make sure you put your best foot forward for every open house. Make sure your house looks like it would on TV, where everything's folded, everything's put away. Maybe there's candles running, maybe there isn't, but it's clean. It's ready to be shown. It's not looking like, oh my God, I'm walking through somebody's house who just snuck out the back door because they were cooking dinner right before they left. A lot of people look at it like it's the agent's job to tidy up the little details. While I'm willing to tidy up little details while I'm working, I'm not there to clean the house. I'm not there to do vacuuming. I'm not there to clean floors, all that stuff. And typically, I'm not even nearly dressed to be doing that. I'm usually dressed up for the fact that I'm at an open house. So really important that you work with your agent on getting it ready for the open houses. Same thing with showings. Showings are one of the craziest things in real estate. As a buyer's agent, you're always out there setting up showings and you're calling listing agents and you're hearing the word no. Turning down a showing for any reason is just totally crazy. The reality of buyers is when they run into the right thing, they're going to make an offer. So if you have someone out and they're a buyer and they want to look at your property and you say no because they didn't give you ample time to get out of the house and to be in shape to do the showing, it means that they might find something in between here and there and never come back. Why would you do that? You should always, once you list your house, have your house ready for showings. What I tell people is once you list your house, you really need to move into that unmoving category where you're packing boxes away, you're putting things away, you're consolidating, you're cleaning, and the house is actually cleaner every day than it was the day before. You can't live like you're living, like you're going to stay there. You need to live like you're moving. There's a psychology behind people when they come into your home and they feel like you're nested there, that they feel like they're breaking the nest versus there's another psychology where when they walk in, they go in the basement, there's nice, neatly packed boxes, and everything's in order. They're like, this person's ready to go, they're ready to sell, they're looking forward, I'm setting them free. So one, you have it set up like you're living there, they feel like they're kicking you out. The other one, you have it set up like you're moving, like you're selling, and they feel like they're setting you free. When they feel like they're setting you free, guess what they want to do? They want to make an offer because people like to help each other out. So when they see that, they actually want to help you out by making you an offer, which can expedite the entire process. Being set up in there, this is something that renters do when they don't want their landlord to sell. So don't act like a renter that doesn't want the landlord to sell. Act like the landlord who wants to sell the property and get it ready to get out of there. And make it very easy for your agent to do showings. I know it can be difficult if you have children and pets and things like that, but just budget into your whole budget that maybe you have to go out to dinner every once in a while, or maybe you want to go take a walk down at the mall, or maybe you just go for a car ride down to the seawall and check out the waves, or whatever it be, but just plan that you are going to have to spend more time out of the house in order for people to spend more time in your house. One of the next most important things that your listing agent's going to do for you is negotiations. Negotiations are a huge part of real estate. If you have an agent that just always wants to get things done, it's going to lead to you getting less money and worse terms for yourself. You really want a good negotiator. I can't stress that point hard enough. I do have another podcast that talks about negotiations in real estate, so I'm not going to dive too deep in there. Other things that your listing agent is going to do is aligning appointments, setting up the final readings, which is the final readings for your oil and water and everything, as well as if you need them to, they may attend the meeting with the fire department to get you the smoke certificate in order to say that you have the proper smoke detectors as well as carbon monoxide detectors. A really good agent's always going to include things like they're going to make sure you always have professional photography. If the house warrants it, they're going to get drone work. If needed, they're going to have floor plans. You want an agent that's going to put in a lot of work towards selling your home, not just somebody who's going to take some cell phone photos and load it up onto the MLS system. The risk of that is if it doesn't sell within the first few days, it doesn't look like anyone cares, and people aren't going to offer you good prices. Some of the other things that people may not know that the agent actually takes care of, the listing agent, is that they hold the escrow account for you. That's done through their brokerage. The escrow account is where the money is stored for the offer deposit, the P&S deposit, and then if there's any other money stored. It's an account that's held in the brokerage name as well as your name, and what that does is it protects your money from being what they call commingled, which is mixed with the brokerage's money. It's held on the side. It can only be released at the sale completion or when you have a mutual release. So if the terms break down of the contract, both parties sign saying the money's going somewhere, they release it there. If they can't get that, they go to arbitration or court with you, and they argue it out until you figure out who gets the money, and then it's released. I'm going to end this podcast with telling you two other things. One is what a great agent can do for you, and the other is what agents do for you. So first, let's talk about what agents do for you. One thing that's been misconceived over time, and there's actually lawsuits in real estate about it, is so when you sign the listing agreement, the seller's agent or listing agent writes down a fee. Typically, it's ranging in anywhere in the realm of 3% to as much as 10%. Different states, different amounts, doesn't really matter the amount. After they take that amount, they then offer the other agent a certain amount of money to bring a buyer to the table. That other agent won't represent you, they'll represent the buyer. Now, this has been something that's in court and people are all confused about. The listing agent actually bills you, the seller, for the services. They're not billing you for all the services, they're billing you for their services. They then take the money that they take in and they offer it to someone else. They do not need to offer any money to anyone else. So this is an important part to find out. When you are working with an agent, say you are, for ease of math, we'll just talk about one, say you're offering them 6%. You want to find out, are they offering the other agent 2%? Are they offering the other agent 3%? Are they offering the other agent 4%? Because you really want to see that they're offering at least equal, if not more, to the other side. Some agents become very greedy, and you sign these contracts and you don't realize that they're not paying the other agent as much money, which means that when the other agents are looking at houses, they're seeing that your house compensates less. Now, I know a lot of people want to do discount listings and they think it's the best thing going because they're saving money, but the reality is if it takes longer and your house sells for less money, because typically someone doesn't make an offer for 1% less, they make an offer for maybe 5 or 10% less. If you saved yourself 1% to get 5% less, did you save any money? And the reality is no. So when you're hiring an agent, realize that they're going to be paying the other agent from the money that they're billing you, the seller, and when they're paying that other agent, if they're not offering great compensation, they're not doing your property any justice. I'm not going to tell you exactly what someone else should charge. It all depends on what their brokerage runs off of for margins and what works best for their business. So just know that, just make sure when you hire an agent that they're offering good compensation out to the buyer's agents to bring in a buyer for you, because ultimately you're paying them the full amount of money. You want to make sure you get everything for your money. Last but not least, let's talk about what a great agent can do as well. Sometimes when time comes, you have to move out of state. Maybe you're in the military and you're headed across the country or whatever. You can't be there for the closing. Sometimes a good agent can actually act as a power of attorney for you. You can sign them as the POA for you, and they can attend the closing and sign off for you. This will actually be the second time this year that I've done a closing with POA for somebody else, where I actually go sign as the seller so that they can be in their future home working on their lives and they don't have to buy a plane ticket or they don't have to overnight and fly up for documents. This is a little bit complicated, and you want to make sure you set it up early, but I can tell you it works great. My mother actually sold her house through me, and she was in Australia, and I was here in the United States, and she didn't have to cancel her vacation, and she didn't have to say to the person, no, sorry, that closing date doesn't work out. So know that it's available to you. One of the reasons I told you about that is I want you to understand, when you're working with an agent or working with a brokerage, you really want to know that they're heavily educated on everything that can happen. Lots of agents have no idea the different things that can happen. They only know a standard transaction. When you work with Momentum Realty, we take pride in the fact that we study real estate every day and learn to utilize every single method possible to save you time, gain you money, gain you marketing share, and to ultimately get you the results you want. If you're looking to list your home with someone, you should think about Momentum Realty. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this podcast, as well as if you're looking for an agent to sell your home. Thank you for listening to the podcast this week. Remember to subscribe to the podcast and tell friends about it. And I look forward to talking to you next week. Thank you.